Hello, it's James from XRobots.co.uk. This is part 6 of my BB-8 version 2 build. I've done quite a lot in the previous episodes and I've pretty much got it driving as best I can in part 5, so have a look at the recap on that and look through the whole build actually for all of the details being built step by step, including reasons why I've done things the way I have. This time at least. There may be a version 3. You can also check out version 1 in my channel, which was a ball balancing robot where the head actually balanced on the ball relatively well. Okay, so this time we're going to be putting panels on the ball. Last time I 3D printed this frame and I've got these nice circles ready to take some panels. Each side has at least one triangle and one whole circle which are going to be removable and the rest are going to be glued on rather strongly. Now the rest of this is 3D printed. So look back for part 1 to see some of this being put together. I've actually found that some of my 3D prints are starting to crack and fall to pieces. So I really do need to stick those skins on pretty well. There's quite a lot of mass in this driving around now, so there's quite a lot of tension on it. Alright, let's have a look at some skin materials. The obvious answer would have been to use ABS sheet, form it and solve and weld it onto the ABS prints. However, I don't know if I can form ABS in my vacuum former setup that I've got just here, and I thought about other materials. I've used HIPS quite a lot, although it's quite brittle. So what I've decided to do in the end is use foam PVC board, which is the same stuff I did all the Hulkbuster panels out of, including the helmet. I can score the surface of that so that I can put the details on and I know I can form it. It's also quite forgiving, so I can reform any parts of the hot air gun if there's any issues getting it to fit on the 3D prints. I've got a 1/2 metre hemisphere here which I'm going to press it over. In fact, this is too big for my vacuum forming table, but I only need 28mm of it to make the circles and the triangles as well. So I'm just going to hopefully press the frame with the plastic in over enough to get a dome of 28mm. So I need to do 6 spots essentially that are round, which will be the outside of the round circle, and it looks like 8 triangles. So I have to do 14 forms altogether and then cut the pieces out. This is my same old heater box, which is a box with foil on the inside and a 2kW heater in the bottom. Yes, it is perfectly safe. Have a look at xrobots.co.uk/vacuum for the full discussion and safety discussion. Basically, I'm going to put the plastic on top of here. The foil helps diffuse the heat and heat the surface evenly so we get a good form. It's been just over a minute. We can see the plastic's getting soft. PVC is pretty nasty stuff, so you should do this in a well ventilated area. Right, it's been about 2 minutes. Feels about right, so let's give that a go. I had to hold that there for quite some time. It's actually a high density foam board, so it holds the heat quite well. You can see that we've got, so the corners aren't quite domed, but the sides are pretty good. But hopefully, we should easily be able to get, yeah, so that's 280mm. I can easily get that out, and it's a proper dome shape. If I need to stretch to probably up to 40 for the triangles, then I can do that before it starts to tail off. I think that should be more than big enough for all the sections. If I do have issues, I can just reheat that and do it manually, but it should be good. So here are all 14. Took me several hours to make all of them. So I've taken the head shell off its dolly. This is the one without the hole in, which I think I'm going to use. And obviously if I put this on here, I can draw around that pretty easily, and this is probably the same diameter as far as anyone knows as the circles on BB-8's body, which is 280mm. They might actually be slightly bigger, but mine are going to be this size because that's what I've planned in my frame. So all I need to do is draw around each one with a pen and cut them out. And make sure I only do 6 and not all 14 because the other ones are for the triangles. I've cut one, let's just see. Should fit the frame and the contour pretty well. See, there are some gaps between the 3D prints, but on the whole that looks pretty good. So this is going to be the outside of the orange part. So I need to draw an inner circle with the 4 things. These are going to be made in whole panels. These ones on the side will have opening parts here, which of course I can do because there's nothing in the side of my droid, so I can put a servo or 2 inside. but I need to get those done, and I need to cut another 5 of these and then work out how on earth I'm going to cut these triangle sections out. I found some other things to draw around to mark out the various other pieces, and I made this little template out of a cut-off from one of the plate pieces, or whatever you want to call them, so I can mark that all the way round. I can put these back on the original hemisphere so that I can press, and then I'm going to score the details in with this all the way round and put in the other lines and things from vague reference pictures that I have. Don't know if you can see that, but I've just scored into the foam PVC there and put some of those other markings on that should hopefully be there, and done the rough outlines. So I need to do all 6. They're not quite perfect, but they're good enough for me. It's going to be heavily weathered anyway and painted over this. So the next thing is to put some white primer on this, mark off where the orange should be, and go and paint that orange. So I've painted those with some white primer, which has got rid of most of the pen marks, and they seem to fit on my ball in the right place. Okay, so you can see the edge of the frame there and there, and that's on the big panel there that'll be removable. So that should leave the triangle in the top, and if I measure the closest distance between them, it's about 100mm there. It should be about 100mm there, which is about right, and if we're lucky, it's about, yeah, exactly pretty much 100mm there as well. So this section here will be my triangle. So what I need to do is make sure that one of my other forms will fit on that and cover all of those straight lines, which it looks like it does, more than enough. So I need to cut a piece out of this, somehow put this piece under these circles, draw around the edges, and then cut the triangle out of these 8 times. Cut the edges off that form that we don't need, and now it fits on the ball properly. And then I've obviously replaced this and drawn around the edge there to get that part. So that should be pretty good, and I just need to crop this off here once I've worked out exactly where the right position is that matches perfectly with this placed onto the next one. And getting there, it turns out this is all I need from the form for the triangle piece. So I've done one that's roughly right, drawn round it, cut out another one, and then that of course fits there. There's going to be a few odd sized gaps so they don't perfectly line up. I've also left this piece to overlap very slightly so I can get this as tight as possible. But yeah, I just need to keep placing these over. I think this is a good template now. Even if the triangle bits are too long, I can trim those down, number all the panels and number where they fit, and hopefully they should line up not too badly. Obviously it's going to be heavily weathered, so hopefully any gaps don't look too bad. I'll just put lots of dirt in them. Just masking these off for painting orange on the ring and of course the pieces that come in. The middle I'm just going to leave white for now. The ones that open might get a cut out and then a 3D printed part. The other parts I'm going to put on when I've placed them on the ball so I can get the patterns in the right place. So we're getting there. I've got one painted orange with the tape removed. Quite a few still to do, and all of these panels, and I pushed a piece of tubing in there and just went around it with a pen before I primed it in white primer. So they've all got that feature sort of embedded into them. So, still some more to paint up and then we can get sticking. Starting to glue on some of these panels now. I've got some more painted, so I'm using Gorilla Glue, which is extremely strong glue, and I've sort of roughed up the smooth ball with some quite coarse paper so that it can key to it. It should stick fine to the back of the foam PVC, and obviously this is all clamped down, and I've put some pads in here made of kitchen roll so I don't mark the circles with the clamps. So I'm going to have to do this in stages and try and fit it together as I go. Obviously these ones will not be glued on because they're removable, but the rest will have to line up, and I might have to trim the triangles as I go, putting it all together. Getting there, working my way around, putting some of these triangular panels on. This whole thing has become quite labour intensive. It's the next day and all that glue has dried and I need to now carry on, so I've got quite a few more panels to do. I think I've got 2 more main circles and 2 more triangles to do. Of course, 1 circle and 1 triangle on each side isn't glued on because it's removable. That's the same on the other side, so I've just got to do these around the bottom. So Gorilla Glue is pretty good. It expands to fill gaps, so it sort of foams up and makes quite a strong thing. So I have to go and trim all of that out where it's oozed out and around there, and then I can carry on gluing the other panels on, leaving it for another day to dry. and then hopefully we should have the whole thing together. It's looking a lot more ball shaped, and it's feeling a lot more solid as well now. I'm stitching all these 3D prints together with these panels, so I'm pretty happy with that. Most of my panels are stuck on. I've also painted that head globe white and just printed the parts from the eye, which are the same as version 1, to stick on there, so I know which way forward is. Most of my panels line up okay. I think the biggest gap is about 3mm, but most of them do butt up okay. The Gorilla Glue is expanded to fill most of the gaps, so that will just be weathered and it will just look like the dirt that's on BB-8. These panels, of course, butt up properly here where the seam is, because I cut them to fit. So yeah, looking pretty good. Obviously I've got several panels here that are removable, so I've got those. That would fit in there, and I need to have some way of removing it and it fitting in. And then I've got that piece there, which obviously fits on there. And once those are in place, then of course it's a complete ball and it looks pretty good. So I've obviously got that opportunity to make these panels open, because obviously there's nothing behind here. And the other panels, the round ones, can have LEDs in, so every panel overlaps this side area slightly, and there's space in there to get to the thing there, so I can put the LEDs in the middle parts. Obviously these ones won't have opening middles, only the ones on the side will that don't have anything behind them. But every other orange panel you can get to the inside, at least partially, so I can get the lights on. And of course the Droid never drives sideways, so that's fine. So we're going to give that a test. I've put down some fabric here. It's just a very thin throw I've had in my house for ages. It's not carpet. It doesn't really help to stabilise the Droid, but it does mean that it won't get scratched. Of course, foam PVC board is quite soft because I was able to score it to mark it. So if I drive over a lump of grit, it's going to get marked. I don't think it's going to stay in very good condition for long. The advantage of using it is obviously that I can score it and I can shape it and cut it really easily. If it were ABS sheets, it would be far harder. So I think it's a good choice. You know, it is going to wear out, but then a ball robot is the most impractical thing anyway, and BB-8 is very dirty, so I don't think it's going to look out of place. So I'm going to give that a quick drive before we look at putting those removable panels on with some means, and we'll see how much it works. It's pretty good now actually. The outside is much smoother than it was. I've done some minor tuning, but not too much on the whole, so all of the functionality that was there before is still there. So I can offset the head there to one side and spin it without it rolling away. Or I can take off that handbrake feature again we looked at last time and drive along. So pretty happy with the way it performs still. It's pretty stable. It doesn't spin on the spot quite as well on this fabric, but it does mean that I can spin more under control. So if I ramp up the flywheel in one direction and kick it back, I can do a complete 180. Let's take off the handbrake, and off we go in a different direction. So pretty happy with the way that's driving. I'm pretty happy with being able to offset the head there and spin it all around. Sometimes takes me a couple of goes to turn round depending on which way I want to go. If I get it right, I can stop just where I want, and off we go again. So looking pretty good, I think. I need to make these panels easily detachable so I can get inside to turn it on and off and various other things. So I don't want them to be stuck on too hard. So the plan is that I've got various 3D printed hooks that I've made. So I've got one here which is got a little divot in the middle, and that's going to stick in the middle of the triangle pieces, and I'm going to string a bungee cord across the middle, my favourite thing. So I can spring that into place and then I can pull it away and unhook the bungee and take it off. These ones I can't really do that because I need to have the middle section opening, so I've made some slightly different hooks which are these rather flatter ones, and these are going to stick on either side, and they're going to in fact be that way round, and those are going to have bungees that hook in from the outside and hold it so the middle is not obstructed. And all of these pieces of plastic, I've put a slight curve on the back side so it fits inside there perfectly for gluing on. You can't really tell other than it doesn't sit flat on the table, and that is exactly the right radius to fit on here. So I'm going to glue those in, make some little hooks of bungee cord into the frame, and then we should be able to snap those on. I've glued these pieces on the inside, and now I'm just gluing or solvent welding some hooks on the inside of here, and I'm going to string a piece of bungee across, and that'll hook onto these. So I can just sort of hook that on and it will pop into place. And those hooks look like this, which are slightly different. They've got a hole in the end, and they've got a thing here. So once these are fixed on, I'll be able to put the loop through there and loop it round, so I can tie a piece of bungee in a loop and loop it on afterwards. So I need to do that for all of these, another 3 sets for the other 3 panels. All my panels are now fitted, so I have a complete sphere that's round all the way round. I have to remember which ones they are, so we'll just what I might do is put a finger hole in there so I can get my finger in, although it's not too bad. Just unhook that, so there's a bit of bungee there across the middle, and that hooks onto the hook. Then I can get my hand in to do these ones. Just unhook that, if I can find it. Oh, there we go. And that's got 2 hooks on the inside, and I had to move one of them so that they don't bang on this thing as it goes round. So I might put some extra pegs on the inside to locate this in its hole properly. But essentially all I need to do to put it back on, hook that bungee in there, hook that one on there, and it should pop in. And then I can just replace this one, and I've marked them with a red mark there and here so I know where they go. That back in, and all the panels pop on. Of course it never drives on these panels, so as long as they locate okay, they should stay there. And that's of course the same for the other 2 on the other side here, which are fitted in exactly the same way. So the next plan should be to use slip rings, and I've got some here, which is basically a hub with a piece that goes round, and this is exactly the same as the thing that I used in my R6 Droid head. So those are going to fit on the inside, so I can run power and data for LEDs and things, and the servos to these panels, and in fact all of the outside panels, so they light up. But that's something I need to do next time. That's the end of this episode. Next time I'm going to be putting those slip rings in and trying to get the LEDs in all of these panels, and also trying to work out how the animatronics are going to work in the 2 side panels which have opening sections. I'm also going to take a look at putting the lights in the head. There's at least 3 different lights, the eye, the holo projector, and some logics and various other things we need to do, so we'll be taking a look at how that's going to work and doing some cosmetics there too. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more updates on this project and other projects, and also check out the social media links in the description to this video.